Sup, bitches?
You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another movie review. And this is my second ever nostalgic movie review. Now, I've reviewed movies that are nostalgic before, but the only other time I did a nostalgic movie review that's distinct from a regular movie review was Megalodon, where it's a movie I was nostalgic about, had a story to go with, then watched it recently and saw how it held up. So today we're talking about Vacancy 2, the first cut. Now, there's not going to be as grand of a story with this as there was with when we watched Megalodon, but this one is still nostalgic. So this goes back to when I lived in this big red house that had a basement apartment, and Danny lived in that basement apartment. And he had this movie, and we watched it. At the time, he thought it was called No Vacancy, and he didn't mention, or maybe he didn't even know, it's a prequel. But regardless, he didn't make any inclination that it was the second movie. And so I remember I watched it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit at the time. And then years later, I went and I found a copy of Vacancy, the first one, and I watched it, and I was like, this has like the same premise, but it's not the same movie. What the hell? Then I found out, no, the one I had seen was this one, which is a prequel. And this is probably a hot take, but I like this prequel way more than the fucking original. Because the original, it's just about this couple that goes to this motel, comes across a bunch of snuff tapes that were made in the room of the motel, and then basically have to escape before being made subjects of their own. There's not really a lot that happens in that one. A lot of the stuff you see is on the tapes that they're watching, and I just didn't care for it as much, especially since I had seen this one first. Something that I like about Vacancy 2 is that it tells it from the perspective of the killers. So essentially this movie is about these two perverts that own a motel and film people having sex in their cabins to then sell to this trucker who then sells it to other truckers and whatever. But their business is not booming. The porn that they sell isn't selling anywhere near as well. And so one night, a guy checks into their motel and murders a woman while they're filming him. They go in and they capture the guy. And initially they're not sure what to do. They think about calling the cops. They think about killing him. They're not sure what to do. But then he convinces them, porn, your business here, it's not selling anymore. Well, if you sell videos of people getting killed, then that'll sell even more. It's different, it's real, it's raw. And after a tiny bit of reluctance, not much, mind you, they decide to team up with this guy who calls himself Smith, and they start making snuff films. The chick that Smith killed as the first one, and then the rest of the movie focuses on this couple and then their friend who show up. And then there's a film being made about them. Now, something of note, the two motel guys in this are obviously not in the first movie because they both get killed in this. Smith is the only one who's left. He's the killer. And then he runs the motel in the original, as well as at the end of this one. I forgot that two of the killers got killed, and I forgot that the chick got away. I couldn't remember for sure. The two guys do die, but then they still get away with it even though the chick got away. Because they all think she's, like, hysterical, and, like, they clean up and get rid of any of the evidence. This movie was the first time I'd ever learned the concept of what a snuff film is. So, there's that. It's a decent enough slasher movie. It's not, like, too crazy. It jumps right into it. It doesn't waste your time, which is something I like about it. There's not a lot of, like, unnecessary shit going on. It just jumps right into it and gets the plot going. I think it holds up pretty well. It's still pretty decent, and it's about what I thought it would be holding up when I went and rewatched it the other night. But yeah, that's Vacancy 2, the first cut. Again, technically a prequel, but it's called Vacancy 2, which is a weird choice. This one was direct-to-video, whereas the original was in theaters. Again, hot take, I like this much better than the original. Anyway, this has been Fugitive Red Eye. Have a good one. Toodles.
What am I watching? I don't know, but I hate it.
Subscribe to Fugitive Red Eye.